Have you ever found yourself in, a common workplace situation, maybe asking for a raise or explaining a mistake,
Oh, definitely.
or even just chatting with a new colleague and wished you had the perfect words, that exact phrase?
It's such a universal feeling, isn't it? That moment where uh, the right communication could make all the difference, but it slips away.
Yeah,
And often it's about more than just the words themselves, it's the intent behind them?
you're absolutely right. And today we're taking a deep dive into exactly that. We've got this fascinating collection of business dialogues pulled straight from, well, the everyday chatter of a busy office.
Hmm.
Our sources give us a direct, kind of unfiltered look into how professionals really talk to each other, from the first hello to complex negotiations, even those trickier personal moments at work.
And our mission really for this deep dive is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the really practical phrases from these actual interactions. We want to give you a bit of a shortcut maybe to feeling well-informed and, confident in almost any professional situation. It's about understanding the why behind good communication, not just the what.
Exactly. We're going to unpack some surprising bits, some practical takeaways that could honestly instantly elevate your communication style.
Okay.
So let's get right into it. Starting with the foundation, really those daily interactions, the core responsibilities, the things that define your first few weeks or months.
Yeah, that initial phase. So welcoming newcomers, helping them settle in. The sources flag this really powerful first impression phrase. The newcomer actually saying, I'm a newcomer and I've got a lot to learn from you.
Hmm, interesting.
It sounds simple, but it's not just politeness. It's quite strategic, actually.
How so?
Well, by showing humility, that desire to learn, they immediately signal, hey, I'm open, I want to collaborate. It invites people to help, to mentor, rather than putting up a front of knowing everything already.
That makes a lot of sense. Setting the right tone from day one. And what about from the manager's perspective? How do these sources show effective onboarding?
Well, the manager jumps right in, clarifies the process, something like, you'll spend most of this week to be familiar with all the work in the office.
Okay, clear timeline.
Exactly. And then they transition smoothly into specific duties, like how to keep the file in order, or you're responsible for answering the calls, then transferring or taking messages. It's all about clear, actionable instructions right from the get-go.
And something that really stood out to me was the supportive role colleagues play. We see these offers of help, like, if there's anything I can do for you, just let me know.
Yeah.
That's not just being nice, is it?
Yeah.
It builds rapport immediately, creates that team feeling, which must be crucial when you're the new person trying to find your feet.
Absolutely. So moving on a bit, managing tasks, reporting progress, we see this dynamic of accepting and assigning work. There's a clear difference highlighted between your sort of main duty and a specific top priority task that might mean you have to leave your job at hand.
So, understanding priorities
Precisely. Knowing what really needs your attention right now.
and the importance of being prepared for meetings really shines through, especially for taking minutes. One dialogue even suggests bringing a recorder pin in case of emergencies.
Yeah. It shows that forethought, that readiness,
Hmm.
being proactive, not just reacting.
Definitely.
Then there's reporting your work. A project plan, for instance. It's structured very clearly. The background of the project, the steps involved, and the expected result. This isn't just throwing information out there. It's presenting it so it's actionable, digestible. It lays out the path forward.
And that flows right into the feedback cycle, doesn't it? The manager saying, after I read it in detail, I will tell you my opinion,
Right.
which then leads to the employee saying, okay, I will alter it according to your opinion.
It's a really simple, clear loop. Collaboration until it's right. It shows a real focus on, iterative improvement,
Yeah.
getting it better step by step.
It really does. Now, mastering office comms, phones, messages, huge part of the day.
Oh, yeah. The sources show that answering the phone professionally means knowing how to handle it when someone's not available. Like, oh, he's at a meeting now.
Right. Managing expectations.
Exactly. Conveying professionalism even if the person isn't there.
And being precise when taking messages seems key. Please tell him Peter called. Simple but crucial.
Totally.
Yeah.
Being accurate, promising callbacks, then passing that message on effectively, who called, anything urgent, the contact info. Clarity prevents so many mix-ups.
Yeah. Avoids those headaches.
And finally, for this sort of foundational section, the power of asking for help.
Ah, yes.
The sources show different scenarios. It could be needing help translating something tricky or just needing an extra hand-carrying supplies. Someone actually says, I can't carry it all.
I think we've all felt that pressure sometimes to just manage everything ourselves.
Definitely.
But these dialogues really emphasize that collaborative spirit.
Mm.
Someone says, I appreciate the hand, and points out how it makes things more efficient,
Well,
explaining, look, I'd have to make 2 or 3 trips on my own otherwise.
it's about recognizing that teamwork often makes things quicker, easier. And asking for help isn't weakness, it's actually a strength. It's smart.
Right, it enables those smoother daily operations.
Exactly. Which often paves the way for individual growth, too.
And that brings us perfectly to our next segment, charting your professional trajectory.
Yeah.
This is about more than just showing up, right? It's how you perform, how you grow, how you handle those critical challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Everything from feedback to asking for a raise.
Feedback loops are so important, and the sources show both sides. So, being praised, you hear things like, you really did a good job, or recognizing a project made much profit for the company.
Positive reinforcement.
Yeah, and efficiency gets praised too, like finishing something in such a short time. And then, of course, the tangible reward. A bonus. These aren't just, feel-good moments. They reinforce what the company values and motivate people.
But then there's the flip side, explaining faults. We see situations like having to address a delay of 2 weeks
Yeah, tough
and
conversation.
identifying the root cause. Maybe a supplier didn't deliver. The key insight here seems to be taking responsibility, actually saying, it's my fault, but then immediately showing you're proactive.
Right, not just making excuses.
Like, I've already found a new supplier, or I put an advertisement in the newspaper. It's about ownership and problem solving.
And what's really insightful here is how critical documentation becomes. The delivery note is literally described as the only proof for the accounts department that goods actually arrived.
Wow.
It just highlights how a small slip in process can cause big problems down the line. Accurate records are essential for accountability, for getting paid.
Definitely something to remember.
Mm.
Okay, moving to proposing ideas, navigating budgets.
Yeah, making proposals. The dialogue suggests concrete plans, like increasing expenditure on advertising to boost sales, or asking for a specific subsidy of 10,000 units, dollars, euros, whatever, for strengthening our publicity.
So being specific with the ask.
Very specific. And the need to write it down in a formal report is also stressed. You need a well-structured argument on paper.
Makes sense. And then dealing with budget concerns.
The sources show times when costs are maybe underestimated, but it's framed by connecting it back to profit margins. Like, okay, maybe this part costs more, but the proceeds from the first order will easily cover the cost of the second order.
Seeing the bigger picture.
Exactly. And understanding you need to report budget decisions up the chain to the financial officer for approval. Knowing that process is key.
Right. Let's get to the brass tacks then.
Yeah.
Promotions and pay. Big ones.
Huge. So asking for a promotion, people clearly articulate why they deserve it. They cite tenure, I've been an accountant assistant for a year, or an assistant for 3 years.
Built in the case.
Yes. They highlight taking on higher level tasks, maybe doing the job of accountant already, and demonstrating significant contributions like, that big theater project I took on has completed successfully. Tangible achievements.
And asking for a pay raise or even retroactive pay.
It's linked directly to doing a perfect job to project profits. Understanding company policy is also mentioned, like maybe salary increases only happen after you get permanent status.
Knowing the rules.
Right. And we also see conversations about salary deductions for, say, neglecting your duty or unpaid overtime, even when the company is facing challenges like a global economic recession.
So, tough reality sometimes.
Yeah, these dialogues show the importance of knowing policy and advocating for yourself based on performance, even in tricky circumstances.
And what about bonuses? How are they discussed?
Well, the factors influencing them come up. Company performance is a big one, maybe being negatively impacted by the financial crisis. Or it could be tied directly to sales profits.
So, not always a guarantee.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that bonuses often depend on the broader financial health of the organization.
Okay, then there are the really hard truths. Resignation and termination.
Yeah, tough transitions. Asking for a resignation can be a tough decision. Maybe you feel not up to this job or you're pursuing personal growth, like studying abroad.
Right.
The key takeaway seems to be the importance of a clear handover, leaving professionally, respectfully closing that chapter.
And applying for an internal job transfer.
The motivations we see are often about wanting career growth, maybe feeling a lack of recognition, or sometimes difficulties working with colleagues.
So internal mobility is presented as a valid path.
Definitely. And then being fired It's handled quite directly in the dialogues.
How so?
Reasons are cited, like dissatisfaction with work attitude, being seen as not active, or results seem to be frustrating, or maybe not meeting quality requirements, or even issues working well with the other employees.
So performance and teamwork issues.
Yeah, and the reality of downsizing is also mentioned as a reason. The lesson seems to be understanding expectations and needing to adapt to the company's needs or situation.
That covers a lot on the career path itself.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the human element, the teamwork, relationships, the personal stuff that happens in any office.
Ah, yes. Because work isn't just tasks, is it? It's people.
Absolutely.
And building strong teams, collaboration, it's a recurring theme. The benefits of teamwork are really highlighted. You make the most of ourselves. New ideas will explode. It's contrasted positively against working independently.
More than the sum of its parts.
Kind of, yeah. And there's the practical side, too, like task allocation. Teamwork is shown as both a strategic advantage and sometimes just a logistical necessity.
We also see an example of a panel discussion for collaborative problem solving.
Right, tackling big issues like redundancy, perhaps due to reorganization, and figuring out fair compensation.
Sensitive stuff.
Very. And the process of selecting the right team members for such tasks, like needing an experienced reporting analyst, is also part of that. It shows big decisions benefit from different perspectives and careful planning.
What about navigating conflict? Apologies. That's bound to happen.
Oh, yeah. Common issues mentioned are things like constant criticism, gossip, spreading rumors. But there's also this broader perspective offered,
Which is?
acknowledging that you will always have such coworkers and that everybody has his strengths and weaknesses. The wisdom seems to be not expecting perfection, but learning how to manage these interpersonal bumps maturely.
That's a good point. And how about when you're on the receiving end or need to get an apology?
Well, it's about addressing specific actions, like someone uploading your essay without asking, or maybe taking your camera without telling you.
Right, boundary crossing.
Exactly. And the dialogues emphasize the impact. What you did cost me trouble. It highlights needing clear communication about consequences and how a genuine apology is vital for rebuilding trust.
Okay. Beyond conflict, though, there's celebrating colleagues, supporting them.
Yes. For a colleague's promotion, it's about sincere congratulations, acknowledging they deserve it, you are efficient, you deserve it. These moments of genuine recognition really boost morale.
And when colleagues leave.
It's about professional goodbyes, offering to stay in touch, understanding their reasons. Maybe they feel they've been here for too long or they're chasing new opportunities. We also see people supporting each other through personal stuff,
Like what?
like illness, showing concern. You don't sound very good. Offering advice like drinking more water or practical help with medicine or suggesting rest.
Basic human kindness.
Exactly. Birthdays too, remembering dates, picking thoughtful gifts like a specific eye cream someone wanted, and weddings, heartfelt congratulations, wishing them well. These interactions show how empathy really matters in the workplace.
It builds that supportive environment. Then there's the whole work-life balance dance, AUKUS socializing.
Big topic. Asking for leave comes up half day, sick leave for family emergencies like mom is in hospital, or just annual leave. And the flexibility of adjusting meetings or arranging cover is mentioned.
Which is so important.
Absolutely.
Right.
Workplaces need to accommodate life's realities.
What about overtime?
Discussed as sometimes necessary to meet deadlines. Today is the deadline. But crucially, with the expectation of overtime, pay 1.5 times for workday overtime and 2 times for weekends, or maybe time off in lieu. Clear expectations around extra effort and reward.
Okay. And covering for someone.
That shows up too. Willingness to help colleagues out, I will cover for you on Friday, for personal reasons or short absences. It reinforces that idea of mutual support within a team.
Nice.
And then the lighter stuff, socializing. Casual chats about the morning commute, suggesting lunch spots that food stall is good, or planning shopping trips together, maybe furnishing a new place, looking for clothes, discount stores, even the simple routines. Morning greetings, saying goodbye, asking about the commute, wrapping up tasks before heading home. These seemingly small things are actually vital for building camaraderie, makes the office more pleasant.
Definitely. Finally, within this human element, there are some really personal requests shown. Borrowing things, and even declining romantic advances.
Yeah, tricky territory. Borrowing includes asking for financial help for big things like a down payment for a house, or maybe smaller things like borrowing a car if yours has no petrol.
Relying on colleagues for significant help.
Sometimes, yes. And then, perhaps the most delicate, turning down romantic interest from a colleague.
Oof, awkward.
Totally. The key takeaway seems to be maintaining professionalism and respect above all. Even when feelings aren't mutual, the goal is to decline gracefully while clearly stating the desire to keep things professional. Maybe saying explicitly, we're still friends, aren't we?
Setting clear boundaries.
Exactly. Prioritizing a healthy work environment over personal discomfort. It's about navigating that with grace.
That brings us to our fourth and final segment, external engagements. Clients, customers, business deals. This is really where the rubber meets the road for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, a whole different level of communication needed here. Initiating and maintaining client relationships is key. We see examples like following up after exhibitions, sharing brochures, getting email addresses, offering services that save the client costs.
Proactive engagement.
Very much so. And demonstrating value right away.
When meeting new customers.
It's about formal introductions, swapping business cards, clearly stating the meeting's purpose, maybe a product intro, and building that initial rapport for future cooperation. Professional presence, clear intent.
Okay. Sales and negotiations,
Yeah.
obviously central.
Of course. Ordering products involves discussing models, quantities, confirming prices, delivery details. Fairly straightforward, but precision is absolutely paramount.
And bargaining, that sounds more complex.
Oh, it's an art form in these dialogues. You hear concerns about prices being much too high, or maybe explaining that the cost of production has been skyrocketing.
Justifying the price.
Right. And the negotiation often involves concessions, reducing prices by 5% or maybe 8% at most, especially if it's a large order. It really shows that push and pull, the strategic give and take of successful negotiation.
Fascinating. What about payments?
That covers setting the terms. Maybe an LC letter of credit, common in international trade or just cash, or an advance payment, and accepting different forms like a certified check or direct bank remittance. Clarity on the financial side is crucial for smooth transactions.
Makes sense. Then there's handling issues, after-sales service, vital for keeping customers happy.
Absolutely vital. Complaints can range from faulty products like a phone keypad wasn't flexible to delays in service like a dress not ready yet. The manager's role in stepping in, offering solutions, is shown as critical.
Problem solved.
Listening, empathizing, finding resolutions to keep that customer relationship intact.
What about making formal claims?
That's covered too. For goods that did not meet our specifications, maybe they were underweight, had defective items, or were damaged, the need for adequate evidences, proof, and negotiating allowances or replacements is highlighted.
So structured dispute resolution.
Yes, based on evidence. And proactive service includes things like making a revisit to check if the customer is satisfied, asking if the product is full-fledged and easy to use, and maybe introducing new offerings.
Building loyalty.
And after-sales support for issues, finding drivers for a phone, fixing a non-working air conditioner, understanding warranty terms for free repairs. It's all about supporting the customer long after the initial sale.
Okay, last bit. Business travel and hospitality.
Right. Picking up clients, being courteous when meeting them at the airport, helping with luggage, making sure they're comfortable with the hotel, food. These gestures build goodwill, set a positive tone.
First impressions count.
Big time. And when hosting guests at your company, it's about giving them a tour, introductions to the business, its history, maybe its turnover, the different departments.
Showcasing the operation.
Exactly. Receiving customers, whether walk-ins or appointments, means providing brochures, website info, scheduling follow-ups, making a strong professional impression.
And if you're the one visiting a client,
Then it's about following up on past discussions, presenting plans, confirming the next steps, keeping the momentum going.
and finally, seeing clients off.
Showing hospitality right until they leave, expressing gratitude, saying you hope for future cooperation. These rituals of welcome and farewell are really essential for cementing strong, lasting business relationships.
Wow. Okay. We have really navigated a huge landscape of workplace communication here.
We really have.
From the simplest good morning to, complex client deals, performance reviews, even those tricky personal things, it's been quite a journey through what actually gets said.
And I think the true value here in this deep dive isn't just knowing what phrase to use, it's understanding why certain approaches work, how they contribute to a smoother, more effective professional life. These dialogues kind of reveal the underlying logic, social cues driving successful interactions. It goes beyond just the words.
Absolutely. The nuance is everything. So as you, our listener, reflect on all these everyday workplace scenarios we've discussed,
Yeah.
maybe consider what's one area, one specific spot in your professional communication where you feel you could immediately apply a phrase or an approach we talked about.
A good question.
Maybe it's how you'll frame your next proposal, or perhaps how you'll handle a colleague's request with a bit more empathy. The key, I think, is to see every single interaction not just as a conversation, but as a genuine opportunity. An opportunity to connect, to understand, and to consciously move things forward.
Hmm.
What will your next conversation unlock?